fossilized sea sponges here that are called chert nodules. So an organism falls down to the bottom of the sea where there's a layer of silt, and it gets surrounded and buried and buried and buried, and then eventually fossilized under a great amount of pressure of, you know, maybe thousands of feet rock above us at one point. And that's all these chunks that we're seeing, cross sections of mostly sponges. There's also some shells if you look around. These aren't the best example because we can't see the texture of the sponge necessarily, but sometimes you can see kind of some modeling or some spotting. That's all these large things here, big sea sponges. What's that?
How many miles or kilometers in total?
Today?
For 3 days.
3 days? Well, not including what we might do tomorrow, whatever that is. It would be about 16 miles. 16 miles. So 9.5 down, 6.5 to 7 out. So we were talking about the Bright Angel Fault. Let's just step over here because I'm going to show you guys something. According to Wayne Rainey, Brian knows who Wayne Rainey is. He's probably the most famous Grand Canyon related geologist there is, who writes a lot of books and gives a lot of lectures on Grand Canyon geology. According to Wayne Rainey, this is the Bright Angel Fault right there. I've seen a picture of him standing here pointing to this. And his wife also told me about this. I heard he was at Phantom Ranch last week. Did you get to go to one of his lectures?
We lucked out.
Yeah, that's what Jordan said.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Anyway, so that's the Bright Angel Fault right there. This is not natural. This is human-made, this tunnel.
Are those dynamite holes or what are those?
Probably.
Okay.
You see that quite a bit. They had to dynamite a lot of this to build the trail.
How do they keep it from rocks falling on the top here?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Like,
I was a history major.
We can also see calcite seams up in the ceiling too, as other evidence of the fault line.
Calcite seams.
Yeah, we can see a little buildup in the cracks in the roof here, which show us that water's actually been percolating
Down through the fault.
this fault line. Yeah.
So this could collapse like any second.
Well, sure. Anything
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
Here.
Sandstone right below the second tunnel. I said no. So next time I was up here, it took me a while, but I found them. There's some really, really old carvings here of names. Right there. Boom, boom, boom. Only one I can make out is this one, L. Goldsmith. And the one up here I think is R. Brown. The middle one I can't make out. That's got to date back, early 20th century, late 19th century. I Googled them to see if I could find any information about them, and I found nothing. So I know nothing about them. I don't know if they were guys that helped build the trail, build the tunnel, or were just neither of those. But those are old. You can see the lichen growing over them too. Right? It was a slope. Animal was traveling forward, but also downward at the same time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And paleontologists there's some term for that kind of motion, and I forgot what it is. I don't know if you know what it is. But there's a word for that paleontologists use.
They were sidestepping.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. We would do the same thing. Yeah. If we were going down,
kind of working an angle,
we'd be heading down at an angle. We wouldn't go like this. We'd go like that. And we might be zigzagging down. So that's what that was. This was probably on mud, is my guess, is what it was. That's why it's been preserved. And there's others. I've never seen them, but there's another block of rock around. This is part of something called the Trans Canyon Pipeline, which carries water out of the Grand Canyon up to the top. The water we got in the water stations this morning came out from the Grand Canyon, not from the Colorado River, from another place called Roaring Springs.
casting tall shadows down the middle of the road. Felt so big, I was 10 years old. Riding no handy on my huffing bike. 20 feet tall thanks to that long street light. A little perception will change the way you feel. A little perception, you know it will. Change those thoughts that hold you down when you look at things from higher ground. I was so broken, standing alone. So much darkness that filled my home. I turned around, stared straight through that pane. Beyond that window, sun was shining again. A little perception will change the way you feel. A little perception, you know it will. Change those thoughts that hold you down when you look at things from higher ground. We'll lift our neighbors, gonna lift ourselves. Brothers and sisters, we know it. Gonna stop dividing, no left and no right. When we left each other, the magical side. A little perception can change the way you feel. Little perception, you know it will. Change those thoughts that hold you down when you look at things from higher ground. Look at things from higher ground. Little perception can change the way you feel. Little perception, you know it will. Change those thoughts that hold you down when you look at things from higher ground.
We're moving into a section called Tapete Narrows, and you'll see why it would be called Narrows. And we're now in, and Brian just showed you some of the rock from it. This is the Tapete sandstone layer. Generally, in most of the canyon, not all, but in most of the canyon, it's the oldest layer of sedimentary rock, about 500 million years old. Pretty soon, we're going to transition in the span of 10 footsteps. We're going to transition from 500 million year old rock to 1.5 and 1.8 billion year old rock. And so there's 1 billion years of missing geology that we're going to move through in 15 seconds. And that's called the Great Unconformity, that missing geology. When we come out on Tuesday, we'll hike through some of that missing geology.
Interesting.
Big boy.
catch that.
Oh,
Pretty hard.
Devil's Corkscrew.
Hard to understand the scale of things here sometimes, right? Yeah, absolutely.
You take pictures, I'll take
Sketch the
video.
outline as close as we get. That's our trail. We'll take a break down where that crosses the water.
And the sky looks really cool. You see that?
Pipe Creek is flowing pretty good.
Yeah.
It rarely flows like that down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at that. How it runs. Zigs back and forth.
We're out with another angle now.
You can see a big boulder field here. Those are river boulders. Those were rolled down the river before the dam was built, obviously. Those are the kind of rocks that help carve the Grand Canyon. Big historic floods, that's what gets rolled down here. Not anymore. We're going to cross the Silver Bridge. This was built in the 1960s to carry the Trans-Canyon pipeline across. You can see right there. Kaibab suspension bridge over there. It was built in the 1920s. That's how you would get it across the river if you came down the South Kaibab Trail. 1928 was when it was finished. Yeah, I know. No helicopters then to bring stuff in. You know? All right, well, let's cross the bridge, and we'll be in the campground shortly. We'll choose a good campsite and get set up and then relax, okay?
animals. We're completely surrounded right now.
Did you guys plan
They're
this?
behind us as well. Wow, a cute little one here.
So when the mules come in the early afternoon with the passenger mules, they're going to disembark their passengers right here. And there'll be a ranch staff here to meet them, tell them how things work, take them to their respective cabins. This is the amphitheater where they'll give ranger talks sometimes. That's kind of been on hold for quite a while because of the virus. They don't want people congregating in large numbers. But in normal times at 7:30 at night, there'll be a ranger talk there with lantern light. So Phantom Ranch, this became a national park in 1919, and the Park Service decided that they wanted to put a resort at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. They wanted to build a resort. So they contracted with, anyone ever hear of the Fred Harvey Company? Fred Harvey Company was named after
Fred Harvey.
Right. And Fred Harvey was a British immigrant who was an entrepreneur, and he started, he went into partnership with the Santa Fe Railroad Company. Wherever the Santa Fe Railroad Company went, Fred Harvey went. So when we hike out tomorrow, we'll see them either coming in or even they might pass us going out depending on their time frame. So they're hanging out. There's a big maintenance yard here, all sorts of stuff for so this is, yes, a grave. No one from any Wildland trekking trips or Four Seasons Outfitters. That's the tomb of a man who died building the South Kaibab Trail in the 1920s. And some rock fell on his head, and he lived, I think, for overnight, and he died here at Phantom Ranch the next day. And he was well known in the area, lived on top, and his name was Reese, R-E-E-S Griffith, Reese Griffith. And so that's where his body is entombed. It's been there 90 years, or 90-something years. And once in a while, people bring plastic flowers and leave them there, or there'll be a lariat there sometimes. There's a plaque on the granite right over here with his name. And in that, if you look through that stack of books I have on the table, there's a black and white pamphlet called The Walking Tour of Phantom Ranch. If you flip that open, you'll find a picture of him on his horse in the Grand Canyon, and he looks very happy. So, you cannot be buried in the Grand Canyon anymore, right? That's frowned upon. You can't have ashes spread in the Grand Canyon. People do it all the time. Can you imagine the people whose ashes get spread here? People that love the Grand Canyon and their relatives and friends come and spread ashes. You're supposed to get a permit for it. Probably most people don't, and really, who cares? It's not like it's going to fill it up.
Sure.
So this is called Boat Beach. No boats right now, they went on their way. And the river is low. You can see it was probably up here yesterday or last night, and now they're releasing less water out of the dam. I don't know how long, it's about, the dam's 95 miles upriver. I don't know how long it takes. This is called Bright Angel Creek. It's spring fed. The source is probably 10, 11 miles up Bright Angel Canyon. Yep. Stop, Combat. Following you, buddy. Changes every couple of years. And these planks they replaced a few years ago. I don't know how often they do that, but occasionally they have to. They just get old and dry and brittle, I guess. Sure.
Where's the berry set? How far the mules were up already? To your right.
There they go.
It's light. As soon as it gets dark, it gets light.
Gets his crap all the time.
A lot of dust. Hey, morning.
Good morning.
Very well, man. Great.
Breakaway shackles to.
Oh, wow.
One up top too.
The other one just sitting now. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see a lot of evidence of beach areas, river deltas right here.
So that's because, I think, so we're moving up through some of the supergroup for here.
Exactly, I'm starting to see some of it here.
And this would be, I think, so there were dozens of layers of the supergroup,
Right.
dozens. However, there's only a few that you can even really see that are left.
Right here, yeah.
The Bass limestone,
Yeah, I'm
is
starting
that what? Murli just saw some animal droppings here. These are desert bighorn sheep droppings. All of this.
No, I think they would be okay.
Pretty cool, huh?
So, Phantom Ranch.
Yep.
You can see just below the tip off. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Real steep, nasty spot there.
Yep.
We're looking at Indian Garden over there, Austin, to our left. And
See where all the trees are?
the top of the,
that's it?
And that's
top of the Devil's Corkscrew.
The Devil's Corkscrew.
Oh, okay.
That,
I got it.
that's right. I beat the Grand Canyon.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, we did it!
Oh, I wasn't sure.